Now that the back boxes are installed, we're going to do another minor detail on the back plate. If you check your reference, you'll see that there's supposed to be a square bar that runs across the back end here. A couple of options are a square piece of dowel rod that you can pick up at a craft store, or some styrene tubing or block from a hobby store. Since we're going plastic on plastic, the tubing is just fine. And if you measure out the section, it's about 1.25 inches. Center to center. So we will measure out 1.25 inches. You get a little pencil mark and try and do a little bit over because you want to account for the width of the blade. And you can cut this by various means. We have this handy dandy little miniature chop saw that comes in very handy for this kind of thing. It has a built-in vise, so you just line it up, clamp it in place, check it again, turn it on, and zip. We have a little square tube that we're just going to glue right in here. Awesome little chop saw. Love this thing. I think Harbor Freight has these. Bought this online a while ago. Keep up with our consumables. The detail in question is right here. It's going to center up between, this is very hard to do whenever you're looking at a monitor. It's going to center up, maybe a little lower, there we go, right around there. Make sure it's straight. And if you need to, put the pencil marks in. That's what I prefer to do. Set it on where it looks most appropriate. And it's pretty centered with the little stud, but it's also has equal amounts running on both sides. This is a detail that has been attempted to be vac formed into the suit. Just unfortunately, it's too easy to make the whole sheet go bad because it doesn't pull down very well. So it's just as easy to add it in. When we're sanding here, I'm also trying not to erase the pencil marks. Just trying to get a little bit of a tooth so it's not so slick. Try a different piece of sandpaper. That one's definitely not cooperating. That's got a good tooth. Just stay. It's okay. Sand a little bit on both ends. Pick a side that's going to glue down and rub it straight across. Back and forth a bit. We have our good tooth side. We want to be careful with the amount of glue that we put on here. You don't want too much, you don't want a lot to run off, and you don't want it to be slick when you're doing it. on the smallest amount that I dare for long-time conservation. I'm going to stand up to install this. Feel your side, make sure you're putting the proper side down, and have your can of accelerator ready because it will come in handy. I just dropped it on, haven't put any pressure on it yet, and wiggling it into position until I'm satisfied with what I see. A lot of this stuff gets done by eyeball. There's no true measurement. And as long as it's level, start putting a little light pressure on it, a little heavier pressure. And I see a little bit leaking, so a quick squirt of the accelerant. And our rectangle reweat is in place. Right, that was the rectangle detail. So the next thing that we're going to be going over is the Gorget. We just wrapped up the rectangle detail, and we're moving on to the Gorget. Notice we don't have an indentation or anything here, so whenever you set it in, it can wobble a little bit. What you'll do is come in, take a pencil mark, and draw where that area is. Then we take our handy dandy snips. Go ahead and cut along those pencil marks. Razor blade across the top, just a couple scores, and you'll get a score and snap. We'll bring this back up. Okay, it locks nicely into place and will sit a lot more flush than it did before. Whenever we go to attach this, we'll just be putting attachment points there and there. It's your choice, Velcro, magnets, whatever method that you think is best, because this set is just impossible to get on without having the Gorget to be separate. So that wraps up the Gorget. We're trying to get these more to paint ready stage. We'll apply fasteners and things for a final assembly, and strapping. That wraps up 2 minor details, and next we're going to be doing the shoulder straps and the side wings.